Alrighty, we're we're recording. I hope we didn't have any video showing at first. Whenever I got on here, I had to go in and do that thing where you choose the video source and you just change it to anything else, and then back to what it was originally set to, and then all of a sudden it showed video. It looks like the mic is working, so I think we're all good. Um, it rained all day today. We got in and we did our logbooks, and then what was it? Bruce. So okay, Russ is the trainee instructor that's not fully certified, so we can't drive on public roads with just Russ. Russ can drive us over to Crossroads Mall parking lot, and we can do backing maneuvers there on private property. I'm not sure that's technically legal because it's publicly, it's not restricted access private property. But I have no idea what the laws are in regard to CDL schools. He has a CDL, so technically we should be able to ride around with him in the passenger seat. But because we're at a CDL school, there's some, I don't know if it's state, I think it's state laws or regulations or something that say you have to be a certified instructor at the, for CDL schools. I don't know what it is. But anyway, Bruce was the instructor that was supposed to be with us that we could drive around with. Well, my video yesterday, I was talking about how a bunch of us were sick, and Bruce said that he started feeling sick on Sunday. That's when I started feeling sick, was Sunday. It might have been as early as Saturday for me. I didn't really notice it until Sunday. What happened Saturday was as soon as I ate Burger King at 11 o'clock in the morning, I had to immediately go to the bathroom. I'm not going to go into detail, but it was not a normal thing. It was like I pooped my pants type thing. Never trust a fart. And so that might have been the beginning of it. I might have been, kind of sick on Saturday. And then Sunday I felt bad. And then Monday I felt, kind of bad. And I started taking antibiotics Monday night. Amoxicillin. I remembered the name of it. So I have 500 milligram pills. And I typically start with just, taking 2 pills to start. And then I'll do 2 pills per day, one in the morning and then one in the afternoon, throughout the period. I think I would have to double check, but I think you're supposed to do a minimum of 7 days. One of the reasons that doctors don't like people doing their own antibiotics is because what they'll do is they'll just take the antibiotics for a few days, and your symptoms go away, and they'll stop taking the antibiotics, and they haven't really fully killed off not the virus. Antibiotics don't do anything for virus, but the bacteria, they haven't fully killed it off yet, and they'll stop taking antibiotics, and then the remaining bacteria will start spreading again. They'll start reproducing again, and they're afraid that that's how antibiotic resistant stuff gets started. Is you're basically killing off the stuff that's really susceptible to antibodies or antibiotics, and then what's remaining there will reproduce, and you'll have things that are better, have better defenses against whatever. I'm not a biologist, but so I'll have to double check on that. I'm going to go at least 7 days. I can't remember if it was 7 or 14 days. I know that you only go 21 days if it's something like gonorrhea or something like that. I forget. 14 days should clear up just about anything. But I have a chart that I printed out, and for my preparedness thing that I reference whenever I'm looking at the dosage. But I just went ahead and started Monday night. You typically you'll take like an extra dose to start to kind of get kick started, and then you just keep consistently adding to it to maintain the level of antibiotics in your system throughout the dosage period. So within an hour or two, my nose stopped doing that thing where water would just run out of it. It doesn't do that anymore since I started antibiotics, but my sinuses are still kind of congested. I haven't had chills, where I'm sweating but cold. I haven't had that since I started antibiotics. I just overall feel, I'm starting to think that it's maybe not bacterial, because if I remember correctly, one of the things for like the flu or a virus is aches and pains. Like, you just don't feel like moving type stuff. Like it kind of hurts to move type stuff. And I'm kind of at that point where my body doesn't want to move at all. I can function. If I didn't tell you that I was sick, it would be kind of hard for you to tell that I was sick, unless I was over there blowing my nose or coughing or something like that. And I don't do that very often. And I can wait a while to do that. I can sneak off to the bathroom. You'd never notice it. So it's not that bad. I have no idea what it is. It's most likely not Wuhan. That would be so bizarre if it was Wuhan. But supposedly Wuhan, whenever you first start showing symptoms, it's just like a regular cold, and it's not really that big of a deal. So people think that they just have a normal cold, and it just keeps progressing and progressing. Mine has been fairly stable. It even seems to be regressing a bit. Like the symptoms are getting milder now that I've started antibiotics. So while we were so let me go through what we did today real quick. So we Bruce, what I was in the process of saying before I rambled on about my sickness, is that Bruce said that he was sick Sunday, or he started getting sick Sunday. He was sick Monday with us, and he missed work today, Tuesday. He was out sick. Because he was out sick, Gary, the director, called Cindy and asked her to come in and cover for Bruce last minute. And I think he asked her to work every day this week. Like, Bruce is expecting to be out every day this week. So Cindy is going to be with us every day this week. I'm going to blow my nose real quick. Did you see that on the video? Like that spray that went out the side? Damn. Yeah, that's that kind of stuff right there. That's why I can't stand for people to talk over my food, or to talk with their mouth open while I'm eating, or uh, you know, like cough without covering up their mouth and stuff like that. There's so much crap that comes out of your nose and your mouth that people don't even like. That crap that just blew out the side of the napkin is probably still floating in the air right there. Um, so, paper towel, not napkin. Close enough. So we had Cindy today. While we were waiting on Cindy to show up, they asked another instructor. They put Russ. Russ was supposed to be moved over. He's the trainee instructor. So he's in training as an instructor. They moved him over to another truck. Well, then they moved Raleigh, one of the senior instructors that is fully certified and everything, off of that truck over to our truck. And I was like, awesome, we're going to have a real instructor. And we went through in-cab inspections. All four of us did an in-cab inspection with Raleigh. And all four of us did really, really well. I screwed up on one thing. Whenever I was doing my brake tests, my air pressure tests, the very first thing that you're supposed to do is check for air loss with the brakes released. Well, yeah, with the brakes released. So you're applying. So the way that the emergency brakes work on the tractor and trailer is that they're spring loaded. Whenever you apply air to those springs, it pulls those spring brakes off of the drum. I think it's the same braking system that service brakes use. So it just applies your normal brakes, and whenever you apply air to the system, the springs release. So what you do is you release the brakes by putting air into the system, and then you apply your service brake or your regular normal brake pedal that people know. So basically, you're applying air to the entire system, and you just hold the brake pedal down with 90 pounds of pressure, and for 1 minute, depending on what type of vehicle you have, you can't have a certain amount of air loss. So if it was just a tractor, we could have let me remember here real quick. It's 3, 4, and 2, 3. Okay, so it's with the emergency brakes released, which means that we're applying air to everything. Then with just the tractor, we can lose no less or no more than 3 psi over a 1 minute period. And if we're attached to a trailer and air is being applied to everything, so all the brakes are released, then you can't lose more than 4 psi per minute. If the brakes are applied to where the emergency brakes are engaged on the tractor and trailer, so if it's just a tractor, 2 psi, and a tractor and a trailer, 3 psi, and that's while you're pressing the service brake. So we always do the test with a tractor and trailer with the brakes released, or basically the air being applied to all of the emergency spring brakes for the tractor and trailer. So it's 4 psi over 1 minute. That is the very first air test that you're supposed to do. The second one that you're supposed to do, now you don't have to do it in this order. This is the CDL University order. Whenever you go to the DOT test, you can do it in any order you want as long as you do all the tests correctly. But the very first test that I did was, well, I didn't actually do the test. I said that I was going to do the test, or actually I was unsure, and I said, is it the low air warning test? And I started explaining that I was going to do a low air warning test, which is basically when your air pressure gets to approximately 60 psi, you're supposed to have an alarm go off, an indicator light, and a buzzer or an audible alarm of some kind to let you know that your air pressure is getting low. So what you do is you just pump the air out of the brakes while the truck is turned off and it's not able to replace that air pressure with the air compressor, and you pump the air out. Like every time you press the service brakes, it uses air and it's unable to replenish that air because it's turned off. So it just keeps going down and down until it gets to 60 psi, and then bam. Well, that's the very first test that I started doing, or I said I was going to do, and Raleigh said no. And then I went, oh yeah, 4 psi, the air loss test. So that was the only thing I messed up on. I'm not sure if that would have failed me on the in-cab inspection, but everybody in general did really good on it. And then after we finished that, we had to do a regen. So this is a common issue with all of the tractors that they have at CDL University. And I don't think it's just a CDL University problem. The DEF system, what does it stand for? Diesel exhaust fuel is what I think it's called. It's basically some type, it's a urea. It's not like, you can't pee in the tank and and keep rolling. But they added in this new tank with this new fuel that's called DEF, diesel exhaust fuel. And it's some type of urea chemical mix. And it's my understanding that what it does is it just sprays this in the exhaust chamber, and it somehow like kills like exhaust. It makes it clean air or clean burning or something. Um, and if for some reason that system stops working, the computer is programmed to basically shut the truck down. So it's a requirement to have that in, I think, only California. But almost every truck manufactured after a certain date has it. I want to say 2012, somewhere in that area. I think all of the CDL University Freightliners have it, and I've heard nothing but complaints about it from everywhere that I've heard anything about it. It has a lot of issues. It probably shouldn't have been rolled out in the state that it was in. It causes a lot of maintenance issues. Um, it's just a very, very bad system that doesn't work well. Um, and honestly, I think if somebody were to go crunch the numbers on how much like carbon emissions or whatever type of emissions they're trying to cut down on versus the waste and everything created by producing this DEF fuel, this diesel exhaust fuel, I think that the cons would outweigh the pros. I don't like this. Seems like some kind of money grab. Somebody is making a ton of money off of diesel exhaust fuel, and just the plastic jugs alone from this crap is an environmental disaster, because diesel exhaust fuel has, I think, a lower freezing point, or no, it would be a higher freezing point than diesel. For some reason, whenever it gets cold, DEF pumps stop working. And there's a lot of reason why DEF pumps stop working for various reasons. So people have to go buy jugs of it, and they just throw those jugs out. Like, I think they're pissed off that they had to fill up using gallon jugs instead of just using a normal fuel pump. Imagine if you had to put 15 gallons of gas in your car using 15 1-gallon plastic jugs. You had to go buy 15 1-gallon jugs and carry them all out to your car. You'd probably be pretty pissed off and just like throw it out into the parking lot of that gas station because you're pissed off that their DEF pumps aren't working. That's what I see everywhere. I see DEF jugs at every gas station that sells it. They're just jugs all over the place. Almost every trucker YouTube video I see where they're going into a truck stop, I see DEF jugs in the parking lot or at the fuel island. It's an environmental catastrophe, in my opinion. I don't think that it is fulfilling any kind of purpose for clean air. It's just making somebody a lot of money. Anyway, I'll stop ranting about that. We had to regen the truck. So basically, the computers monitor, I don't know what, in this DEF system. And when there's a buildup of something, then you have to do what's called a regen. On these Freightliners, there's this little thing that you pop up like you're setting off, like in the cockpit of like a fighter jet, and you flip up that thing so that you can hit the fire button. There's one of those on the dash of the Freightliner. You pop it up and there's a yellow button under there that you hold down for like 5 or 10 seconds, and it initiates a regen. And it runs the truck at a really high idle for anywhere from 15 minutes to an hour and a half, just burning tons of fuel to try to clean out some kind of filtration system in the DEF whatever. And we have to do this on the truck like every other day. I don't know how many gallons of fuel are wasted in this, but the whole DEF system is just like somebody's making a lot of money off of it, and it seems absolutely ridiculous to me. But yeah, we wasted probably about an hour just sitting there waiting on it to regen. And when Cindy finally got there, right before Cindy got there, Russ. Sorry, I thought about pausing the video, but I didn't. Right before Cindy got there, Russ came over and talked with Raleigh. Or no. It was when Cindy got there, she came over with Russ. And Raleigh left, and we had just started the regen. Probably 10 minutes before that. And Russ and Cindy both jumped in the truck, and Cindy was like, "Why didn't they wait and to start the regen until we got somewhere where we could eat? We could take an early lunch while it does a regen." And we were like, "We don't make those kind of decisions. We're just trainees." Um, so we sat there and waited out the regen, and Russ told us that he had to stay with our class because the other classes, I think there's only 3 classes going right now, because the class that was supposed to start this week, it started out as only a 3-person class, and somebody was out sick on Monday, and then I think they were still planning on having a 2-person class, even though somebody was out sick on Monday. I think they were going to let them make up for missing Monday. But then one of the other people canceled. So only one person was going to be there on Monday, so they just canceled the class. And so we only have like 3 classes going right now. I completely forgot where I was at with that. I lost track of everything. So our class has 4 people. I remember now. Our class has 4 people. And I think, yeah. The class that started 2 weeks ago is 5 people. And then so we have a sophomore class, a junior class, and a senior class. We're the junior class. We're 4 people. The sophomore class is 5 people. And I'm not 100%, but I think the senior class is also 5 people. So there's only the driver's seat, passenger seat, and then 4 seats in the back. Yes, that's right. So there's enough seats in the truck for 4 people in the back, 1 in the driver's seat, so 5 students, and an instructor in the passenger seat. So you can only have 1 instructor if you have a 5-person class. Since we're the only class that's not a full 5-person class, Russ is stuck with us. That's what Russ told us. I'm coughing, sneezing a lot right now, or blowing my nose. I'm not sneezing. So we drove around. After we waited out the regen, we drove around with Cindy. She drove us all over the place. I don't get out much. If I don't have to leave my house, I don't. I'm not the type of person that whenever I'm off work, I just hop in my car and I want to go somewhere and do something. I dread leaving my house. Even to do something like get groceries or go grab something to eat. I'll sit here and think, man, do I want to spend an extra $5 or $6 to have Uber Eats deliver me some food? Or do I want to drive down there and get it? Is it worth it? And Uber Eats usually wins. But recently, they've been jacking up the prices so much that screw them, I've stopped using Uber Eats. Like, it's getting ridiculous how much they're gouging. I gotta stop, just completely stop with Uber Eats. Once I get into the truck, I don't know, I'm thinking I'll never use a food delivery again, but on the other hand, I'm thinking I might use them even more, because I can't go down to a restaurant, and Uber Eats has the option to deliver to your GPS location, so I could have Uber Eats delivered to me at a truck stop. I might even be able to have like Costco food delivery delivered to me at the truck stop. I don't know. Who knows? But yeah. So after the regen completed, then we drove around town. Everybody's getting really, really good at driving. Really good at driving. I didn't feel like driving today, but I did my drive time, and I asked Cindy if she was okay with me like doing a reduced drive time, because I don't feel that I need like an hour and a half of driving around town. Take a right here, and then you just drive and drive and drive. That light up there, if I think that's 29th, take a left at that if that's 29th. An hour and a half of that. I don't have any issues with shifting. I don't have a whole lot of issues with much of anything with driving. But so I asked her if it would be okay if I like only did like a half an hour and donated the rest of my time to, everyone else. And she said that she would be okay with that. And Russ said that he would also be okay with that. So going forward, I may do shorter drive times, because to me, since I'm not really from my perspective, I'm not really working on anything. I'm not working on shifting. I'm not working on really much of anything. It feels like work to me, because I'm not working on any skill. I shift really smooth. I rarely ever grind a gear. And if I do grind a gear, it's that normal stuff where you're like in 8th gear and you're coming up to a light that just turned yellow or red or something, and you're trying to get it down into 5th or 4th as you just did like a 20 mile an hour deceleration, and you're jumping several gears, you're skipping down, and you're not 100% sure what RPM it needs to be into to go into 5th. And I'll grind it a little bit doing that big jump, but that's like completely normal. 20-year veterans still do that crap. Yeah, if I've been driving the exact same truck for 6 months and I do that on a regular basis, I might be able to do that pretty easy without grinding. But I don't have to be perfect. That's not what I'm trying to do. But anyway, I did my drive time. Cindy freaked out whenever she heard us talking about being sick. I think she may have some medical conditions or something, and she freaked out real bad. It irritated me a little bit, the way that she freaked out, because she overheard us talking about, and I was talking about how I started antibiotics, and I've been feeling better since then. And I said that earlier in the day, and then later in the day, what she overheard was that I was telling people that, I said earlier that I thought the antibiotics were doing their thing, so this might be bacterial, but now I'm thinking it might be viral, because like within like a day or two of starting antibiotics, almost all symptoms typically go away if it's bacterial. Like even last time I had strep throat, like the day after I started taking antibiotics, I was perfectly fine. It completely went away after like a day. It was really fast. And body aches, I think, are kind of a sign that it's viral. And I think a lot of my symptoms are signs of viral stuff, but we'll see. We'll see. I'm still doing the antibiotics. I just took a 500 milligram amoxicillin when I got here. We'll see if it clears up by tomorrow. But she overheard me telling them that it might not be bacterial, and I was taking antibiotics, and she was like, "You're sick?" and started freaking out. And she was like, "Do you want us to take you to?" She was like wanting to take me back to the. She was like wanting to take me back to the. What's it called? Their school, their main building, their domicile, and drop me off. Like, she was like, "Are you okay to drive? Like, do you want to get off the truck? We can take you back to the." She was like, and then she started freaking out about like me getting her sick or anybody else sick. And she told me to open up the air thing in the back next to me so it would suck air out next to me. And she got out this essential oils cough drop thing and told me to use it, and I politely declined, and she said no, it's for all of us so that we don't catch it. It's some, like, that essential oils crap. Like, she said that it's some recipe that they discovered from thieves in ancient times that would take it so that they wouldn't. Anyway, I'm not. If I were the type of person that I had allergies to stuff, then I would have flat out refused. But she was very pushy and demanded that I take it. And I don't have any allergies. What harm is it for me to eat a damn cough drop? So I just appeased her and took it. But I did find it to be a bit annoying that she basically forced me to eat something. I don't like people forcing me to put stuff into my body. So we butted heads on that just a little bit. She could tell that she kind of like got under my skin with that, and I told her it's not that big a deal. I was like half of us are sick, and then the other people in there denied being sick. Like, these are some, like, I'm about to use some vulgar words. They lied about their driving experience, and then when it came time to drive, they had a completely different story. Like, they're constantly lying about stuff, and then later on, they got a different story. So yesterday, everybody was talking about how, I was talking about, being sick. Bruce was talking about being sick, and then everybody else was talking about being sick. And I was talking about how I had chills where I was sweating but I was cold, and the person that I don't really talk to in the class said he had the exact same thing. I mean, like, multiple people said that, like, they were. And then today, whenever Cindy was making a big deal out of it, everybody else was like, oh, I'm not sick. I'm not sick. Two more weeks. 2 more weeks. What is it? It's like 5 plus 3. 8 days left. And there's a possibility that we might be able to take our CDL tests. So the original plan is that you take the 4-week class, and then on Friday you get your certificate that you passed the class. And then they do testing on Tuesday and Thursday. So you would have to wait till the week after you pass the class to take your CDL test, either Tuesday or Thursday. They have 4 slots per day. So if you have a 5-person class, or if someone from a previous class failed, then you might get bumped to Thursday to take your test. But because we didn't have a class on Christmas, because they were basically out on Christmas or whatever, they didn't have a Christmas class, and because we didn't have a freshman class this week, it's caused some openings. Like, the class that graduated a couple weeks ago took their tests their 4th week on Thursday, and it created open slots the following week when they were, like, everybody's been testing basically a week early, and it's caused slots to open up so that other people can test basically a week early. So we might be able to test a week early. Who knows? If that is the case, then what that could mean is that USA Truck has orientation that starts on Monday and Wednesday. I'm expecting I'm going to end class on Friday, take my CDL test on Tuesday, apply that afternoon, get a rental car that afternoon, and then drive to Van Buren, Arkansas that evening, and then start orientation Wednesday morning. They told me that the turnaround on hiring is that fast. They said that if I get my CDL Tuesday afternoon, they could have me in orientation on Wednesday. Nothing too nasty there. But if they let us test out on Thursday, we still have to complete the class to get credit for our 160 hours, so we still have to go to school on Friday and do whatever. What they're having people do that pass their test on Thursday that are still coming back in on Friday is there's always been at least one person fail. And everybody goes out there and works on whatever it is that person failed, and they're all just basically they call them something like guest instructors or instructor helpers or something like that. And they're basically all just helping that one person that did not pass do everything that they need, help on. Because you still have to come in on Friday and get your credit hours. So if that happens, then what'll happen is Thursday, after I get my CDL, I can go ahead and apply to USA Truck and get scheduled to be in orientation Monday morning. And I can, get a rental car Sunday and casually drive to Van Buren. I forget how many miles it is. It's something like I want to say, well, if you do Van Buren to Oklahoma City, I think it's only like 178, 188 miles or something like that. But I live on the opposite side of Oklahoma City, which is probably another 20 miles. So it's probably somewhere in the area of 210 to 230 miles to Van Buren, Arkansas from my house. Let me actually, I'll pause the video and do it. All right, it's recording again. Okay, so you should still be seeing my face. I don't want to pull this up and show you my address. So from address to address, not from city to city or anything, address to address, 205.3 miles. 3 hours and 22 minutes. So 205.3. What's their mile per hour average that they're using? 205.3 divided by 60. That's 3 hours, 3.42 hours, which would be 3 hours and 20 something minutes, 25 minutes maybe. 3 hours and 25 minutes. Yeah, they're doing like a 60 mile per hour average. So I could probably do it in less than 3 hours. 60 miles per hour all the way there, that would be really slow. Like the speed limit going through Oklahoma City, yeah, it's 60 miles per hour throughout most of Oklahoma City. But as soon as you get out of the city, it jumps up to 70, or I think it only goes up to 70 on all the interstates in Oklahoma except turnpikes. Turnpikes are like 75 or 80 or something. So, yeah, I-40 is not a turnpike. So it's probably a maximum speed 70. And I am not going to speed in a rental car going to a company that I'm taking a driving job. That would just be stupid. What if Hertz or whoever they rented the car from sends a report about your driving or something like that? And it's like, yeah, this person drove 15 over the speed limit the entire time there, or the entire way there. Now, USA Truck, from what I understand, is a pretty lax company on hiring. They're kind of desperate for people. But if it were a company like Prime that is known to be very, very strict on hiring, very selective, if you sped in their rental car and they knew about it or found out about it, that would probably disqualify you. Like they'll, and it's, yeah, they're real strict from what I hear. But yeah, finished the driving, and I think I'm trying to remember. I don't know how much of my drive time I did. We made it back in at about 3:20, so I guess I did pretty much my whole drive time. And we made it in about 3:20, did our log books, and then like most everybody left by about 3:30. I think I left by like 3:34, 3:35, because we got in a bit early. I wasn't really pushing for my drive time. I don't really, like, I'm not feeling well. and I don't feel I need to do, like, I would prefer to be working on stuff that I need work on. You know what would be really awesome is if everyone was doing good in some areas and bad in other areas, and like whenever we were out driving, we could just have like the two people that are having trouble driving do most of the driving time. You know, they do like 2 hours, and the two of us that aren't having much issue only do a half hour. And then whenever we're doing the 90 or the alley dock, you know, if there were two people that were nailing it, they could, you know, do skip a turn like every other round or something like that. That would be awesome. But the problem with that is that there are only two things that anyone is proficient enough to skip. That's me on driving around town. Well, that's also probably me on offset and parallel and straight back. The only thing that I probably need to work on is the alley dock. Everyone else in the class needs work on everything except Keith. Keith has got the alley dock down. He's the best at the alley dock. He can one-shot that thing without a pull-up almost every time. And he did give up his turn on the alley dock once. Last time we were doing it, he gave up his turn to somebody else. So, like, if somebody gets really proficient at something, they are trying to pass that time on to other people. Me personally, I'm doing it for selfish reasons. If I enjoyed driving around, I would continue to do my drive time, but it's like work to me. It is, because I'm not working on anything. I'm not like trying to improve my shifting or anything like that. It is just like work for me. It's like making a delivery somewhere or something. It's like just regular truck driving. Just an hour and a half of driving around town. And city driving is the absolute worst driving in one of these trucks. I hate city driving in one of these trucks. I like to be out on big open roads on the interstate and delivering to distribution centers that are designed for these trucks. I don't like delivering to places that aren't designed for these trucks, and I don't like driving on streets that aren't designed for these trucks. So yeah, so all in all, it was a pretty good day. Last night, because I was sick, I don't have sleep apnea, but it's my understanding that with sleep apnea, your sleep is constantly disrupted. I don't know the exact like medical reason, but you'll like stop breathing constantly, and it causes you to like jolt awake or something, and it is constantly interrupting your sleep. Well, that is what my sleep is like with this cold. My nose will clog up or start running or something, and it'll wake me up. So I'm waking up approximately every 15 minutes all night long. So I haven't slept well. I didn't sleep well Sunday night or Monday night. I went to bed early, like 8 p.m. My alarm goes off at 5:30 a.m. So I'm laying in bed for 8 to 9 hours, but I'm not getting good quality sleep because I'm just constantly waking up because of the cold that I have or whatever it is I have. I don't think I have a temperature. So I think a fever is like a big thing for the flu or a viral. Maybe. If I don't have a fever, I have no idea. Whatever I have, it doesn't seem to be that big of a deal. It could also be from us just standing out in the cold for so damn long last week. Just hours of standing out in drizzle, freezing drizzle. It's like 35 degrees outside. The wind's blowing 20 miles an hour. Just standing out in that crap for hours last week. Maybe I looked it up and it said no, just being cold doesn't make you sick. That's a myth. But it can make you more susceptible to picking up a cold virus. So who knows? Who knows? But I think that's all the major things. We ate at some Chinese restaurant. Well, it wasn't a Chinese restaurant. I had a chicken fried steak, and everybody else had these big ass cheeseburgers that were massive. They were so massive that somebody from another table came over and asked if he could take a picture of somebody's bacon double burger. Um, it was like, I don't know, probably about 6 inches tall. I was like, "There's no way you're getting your mouth around that." And they were like smashing it down on the table, and like, they basically had to take a bite of the bottom half and then a bite of the top half, even smashing it down. And most of them were not able to finish it. There's one person in our class, which is the person that doesn't like me for whatever reason, and we don't really talk much. He's a bodybuilder, and he is on, one of those really high calorie diets, and he scarfed it down like it was nothing. But he's the only one that finished the whole thing, like cleaned his plate. It was a lot of food. It's Chinese something cuisine or something like that in Piedmont. It was really busy there. We got in there at something like 11, and the place by noon was, I don't think there was an open table by noon. It was packed. So, alright, a little bit of a rant. 46 minutes. Who cares? 46 minutes. Alright, while we were there, I think I mentioned this in previous videos. I'm the type of person that before I eat, I wash my hands. And after I eat, I wash my hands. Well, we got in there, and I think it was Keith just bolted to the bathroom. Keith is always going to the damn bathroom. Like, he is always asking us to stop to go to the bathroom. Like, anyway, that's another topic. So Keith bolted to the bathroom. So I waited a couple of minutes, and then I walked over to the bathroom to wait for him to get out of there. I didn't know how long he was going to be, but I suspected that I gave him like 5 minutes, so he should be close to done by now. So I'm standing there in the hallway waiting for him to finish, and some dude in a wheelchair starts trying to get down the hallway, and it's not wide enough for him to get his wheelchair down the hallway, so he's just like sitting there slamming it, like this right here. So he's kind of like being a jackass about it, instead of being like, "Hey, could somebody, help clean out some space for me to get down this hallway?" He's just sitting there just like slamming into shit and like throwing a little temper tantrum. And I said, "Do you want me to help you out? I could probably move these things and clear some space." And he did one of these. And what it was it was two of the carts that you use to clean up the tables. The carts that they push around and they put all the dirty dishes on and stuff. There were two of them right there. Well, I pushed a chair in and pushed one of the carts further down, and I got the other cart and I pushed it over into behind the counter. And then I stepped behind the counter to allow him to pass by. Well, as I was doing that, Keith came out of the bathroom and this guy shot in there. That bastard cut in front of me. So I got a little ticked off. Like, here I am helping him out, helping him make it around there so he can get in line to the bathroom, and this jackass just cuts in front of me. And he was in the bathroom for like 15 minutes. I just wanted to go in there to wash my damn hands. So when he went in there, I got a little upset. I was sitting there thinking, he's in a wheelchair. It's probably going to take him forever. So I walked back there, and there's a men's restroom right here, and then a women's restroom. Door was open, light was on in the women's restroom, and so I just went over there and left the door open and washed my hands, and then went back to the table. So not that big of a deal. But I was a little upset that he just was a jackass about the whole thing and cut in front of me and didn't say thank you for me helping him out or anything. Just a complete asshole. Fuck him. Would not help again. we run into the same situation next time, I'm just going to be like, sucks to be you, and roll on. I can't think of any other things that happened today. There are some things that I could talk about, but I don't want to like I talk about a bunch of stuff that like if the owner or the director or employees at CDL University or my classmates were to watch this video, they'd probably be like, I can't believe you're saying that crap. I'm not worried about that, but there are some personal things that I run across throughout the day that I don't want to throw somebody's, personal stuff out there that could like get them, like right now, any negativity that I speak out about would come back to me. CDLU would be like, why are you calling us out like that about having, paying $6,000 to have a trainee instructor train you that is not properly licensed? Why are you, putting us on blast on YouTube like that? And I'm like, why are you so worried about my 0 or my 1 subscriber? You think he's going to put you out of business or something? Is anything that I said incorrect? Like, I speak the truth, man. I'm paying a lot of money for an inferior service. So I felt like I got my money's worth today. But there are days where it is frustrating. But I'm looking forward to it being over with. I feel like I need to pop my back. Like that. I think this is the body ache thing. Like it, how it feels like when it feels like, man, if I could just pop my back, I would just be like, oh, and I just want to lay there. That's what it feels like. It feels like my back's in that like tense position where if I were just to pop it, I would just relax and just pass out. That's kind of the way it's felt for the last couple of days. I think that might be a body ache. But I'm just going to keep rambling, and we're already up over 50 minutes. This is one of my longest videos. Sorry about that. If you watch the whole thing, then you better hit the damn like button. You just sat through almost an hour of me rambling and ranting and raving. You can take 10 seconds to hit the like button. Do it. Don't disappoint me again. Alright, have a good one. Thanks for watching.